The Hyundai Tucson is one of the best-selling compact SUVs in the country, and it might also be one of the easiest mistakes you can make with your money. If you're about to walk into a dealership convinced this is the safe, sensible choice for your family, you need to stop and watch this first. Most buyers assume that a top-selling SUV earned that position by being the best option in the segment, but the Tucson is proving that sales numbers and real-world ownership quality are two very different things, and here are 7 reasons why. Number 7. Gas version is slow. Picture this, a busy interstate on-ramp, the car loaded with passengers, and you need power right now. That's precisely the moment where the Tucson's base 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine is going to let you down. It's producing 187 horsepower, a figure that reads reasonably on paper, and disappoints almost immediately behind the wheel. A passing maneuver on the highway, a steep grade with a full load on board, the throttle response is sluggish, and the engine is audibly working harder than the situation should demand. That's not a confidence-inspiring combination for a vehicle in this price range. What makes this worse is the fuel economy story. Real-world figures are regularly coming in below EPA estimates, with most owners reporting numbers in the upper 20s during mixed driving. Turbocharged rivals are now offering more power and better economy simultaneously. You're getting the worst of both worlds, a modest engine that still isn't gentle on fuel. The gas version is clearly struggling to justify itself, but if you're thinking the hybrid badge solves all of this, what's coming next might genuinely surprise you. Number 6. Hybrids are thirsty. Anyone shopping for a hybrid has a specific goal: spending less at the pump consistently over years of ownership. The window sticker for the Tucson Hybrid is going to look attractive. A combined rating approaching 38 miles per gallon is exactly what that kind of buyer wants to see. The problem is that those numbers are proving genuinely difficult to achieve in real-world conditions. Owner feedback is telling a consistent story. In actual mixed driving, real-world efficiency is settling in the low to mid-30s on a regular basis. For buyers who chose the hybrid specifically to reduce fuel spending, that gap is going to show up at every fill-up. The moment driving conditions shift towards sustained highway speeds, the gasoline engine is taking on a larger share of the workload, and the efficiency advantage fades meaningfully. The CR-V Hybrid and RAV4 Hybrid are both delivering results that sit far closer to their official figures. The Tucson is still working to match that standard, and until it does, the Hybrid Premium is a harder sell than it should be. Poor efficiency is one thing, but the way the powertrain is delivering power on a daily basis is a problem that goes much deeper than the fuel gauge. Number 5. Transmission issues. This is one of those problems that a short test drive is unlikely to reveal. The road feels smooth for those first few miles. Then you take it home, drive it through a week of real traffic, and the Tucson's transmission behavior at low speeds is going to become noticeable quickly. Stop-and-go commuting exposes a gearbox struggling to manage light throttle input smoothly. The transmission is hunting between ratios, responding inconsistently when the driver is asking for gentle acceleration. Small lurches and micro-hesitations are making the experience feel unrefined in a way that a vehicle in the mid to upper $30,000 bracket simply shouldn't. Hybrid models are dealing with a second layer of this problem. The handoff between electric and gasoline power, which is supposed to happen invisibly, is regularly accompanied by a jolt that breaks the flow of what should be seamless driving. One moment the Tucson is gliding on electric power, the next a noticeable bump announces that the gasoline engine has joined. The Tucson is not meeting the refinement standard its price tag suggests. And for daily drivers, that's something they're going to feel every single morning. An unrefined powertrain is already enough to test anyone's patience. But what the safety systems are doing on top of that is something far harder to ignore. Number 4. Safety systems issues. Most buyers are choosing a vehicle like the Tucson partly for its advanced safety technology. The expectation is simple. These systems are going to help avoid accidents, not create them. That expectation is taking a hit in the real world. False activations of the forward collision warning system are appearing in owner reports with notable consistency. Parked vehicles around a bend, bridge metal grating, road shadows. The system is treating these as imminent threats and responding accordingly. When automated emergency braking fires without cause, the consequences aren't just a startled driver. They're a genuine hazard for any vehicle following behind. That's not a calibration issue, it's a reversal of what safety technology is meant to accomplish. Lane keeping assist is drawing its own criticism. Some owners are describing a system that fights the steering unnecessarily, or one that drifts in and out of engagement when it should be holding a steady line. The driver attention monitor is triggering warnings on fully attentive drivers, leading many to switch it off permanently. A safety feature that gets disabled out of frustration is no longer protecting anyone. And while the safety systems are creating problems you can feel immediately, the next issue is one that's been dividing opinion since the day this generation launched. Number 3. Questionable aesthetics. Hyundai committed fully to a bold design direction with the current Tucson, and the automotive world is still divided over the result. The front fascia, built around a fragmented lighting pattern integrated into an unconventional grille structure, is going to generate strong reactions in both directions. For buyers who want something that stands out, it delivers. For a large portion of the market, it goes too far. Here's why this matters beyond personal taste. Resale demand is directly tied to how broadly appealing a vehicle looks. A polarizing exterior narrows the pool of used car buyers willing to pay full price. That's a financial consequence, not just an aesthetic one. The mid-cycle refresh attempted to soften some of those choices. What it actually did was maintain the core design identity while adjusting a few details around it. Buyers who found the original too unconventional are still going to find the updated version too unconventional. That balance is something the Tucson is still working to find. And if a polarizing design wasn't enough of a concern, what the ownership data is saying about long-term reliability is going to make this an even harder vehicle to recommend. Number 2. Reliability concerns. Nobody budgets for unexpected repair bills when buying a new SUV. The purchase is supposed to represent peace of mind, not a new source of financial uncertainty. That's exactly why the Tucson's emerging reliability picture deserves close attention. Fuel injector failures are establishing themselves as one of the more persistent issues in the current generation. The pattern is recognizable: rough idling, engine misfires, declining power output, and worsening fuel efficiency. These are not isolated incidents. They're appearing across owner communities with enough frequency to form a clear trend. The repair process is where this becomes financially painful. Injector replacement involves significant labor hours and specialized equipment, which means significant cost. A meaningful number of owners are encountering this outside of basic warranty coverage, left to absorb the full expense on a vehicle that's still relatively new. Sensor-related failures are adding further weight to the picture. Oxygen sensors, camshaft position sensors, and crankshaft position sensors are all generating reports, each bringing warning lights and unplanned service visits. As a pattern, it's raising legitimate questions about long-term durability, and those questions are shaping something that's going to hit Tucson owners hardest at trade-in time. Number 1. Depreciation. Every decision made at the point of purchase eventually gets settled at trade-in, and that's where the full cost of owning a Tucson is going to become clear. All of the issues above are converging in a single number: resale value. And for Tucson owners, that number is going to be measurably lower than it is for owners of the segment's Japanese benchmarks. Think of it this way: 2 buyers walk into a dealership on the same day. One leaves with a Tucson, the other with a RAV4. Same price range, same segment. 5 years later, the RAV4 owner is getting several $1,000s more at trade-in because the used car market trusts that vehicle more. The Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V are retaining their value at a level the Tucson isn't currently matching. Both brands carry decades of hard-earned reliability reputation into the used market. Buyers are paying a genuine premium for that trust, and that demand is what keeps residuals elevated year after year. That is money the Tucson is not giving back. For any buyer thinking about total cost of ownership, that figure carries significant weight. The Tucson is coming to market with a bold look, competitive pricing, and a warranty designed to build confidence. But beneath that surface, the problems are real and consistent. None of these are minor footnotes. They are the full picture of what Tucson ownership is actually looking like right now, and that picture deserves to be part of your decision before you sign anything. But don't think that the Tucson is the only model in this highly competitive segment that comes with serious flaws. If you're looking for a more adventure-ready alternative, then you definitely want to check out our video about the problems with the Subaru Forester. It may feature an excellent all-wheel drive system and offer impressive practicality, but this SUV also comes with a couple of serious limitations.